this Nexus that's quite vulnerable up at the top position instead of the gold that's more lucrative and easier to protect. It looks like HuK's also gearing up to try to take this top base as well. Just wants to mass up the money mix army, the classic American style, trying to get just the correct mix of units to be able to deal with just about anything. And it looks like Idra, though, is massing up on just Corruptors and Roaches, which is going to be tough for his opponent to be able to deal with. More Corruptors coming out right now. Big push coming up for HuK. It's going to engage now. Not really many sentries. And again, no range 9. That means that a lot of those Colossi will not be able to participate in the battle. They cannot join behind the other units and fire to all the Zerg units clustering up at the front. A bunch of Immortals in that mix as well. And by a bunch, I mean 2. Needs more Stalkers in this mix. HuK trying to spread out a ton of Stalkers. Oh no! Some of the key anti-air units from HuK doing their own thing. Sacrificial units, and look at this. Only 5 Stalkers in this unit mix for HuK. He is continuing to get a ton of Colossi and no range yet. Oh god, it's just burning a hole in my heart. Oh god, it's just so depressing to constantly go back there and see that. That might be one of those things that HuK goes back and looks at and think, only clicked one button, would have been in a much different spot. Huge engagement going on right now. There are the key force fields, but the Colossi cannot abuse those well enough. The Corruptors are doing sick damage to these Colossi. 2 have already fallen. Here comes a third one going down, and target firing looks like 4th and 5th might be in trouble as well. Trying to get these Zealots up in the front. These Colossi need to be behind the Stalkers, but they don't have range 9. They don't have the Thermal Lance upgrade. There's very little that he can do at this point. And again, Hydralisk numbers for Idra, his trademark move, mass Hydralisks with that fast +1 armor upgrade. They will be able to advance into the front and take out the remaining Stalkers. So HuK is continuing to warp in Zealots and Immortals. His northern expansion is up, but no cannons for you there. It is already all gooped up. Immortals getting in the fray as well. They do have the upgrade, 60 damage versus armored. An incredible amount of damage output there. Colossi now starting to get rebuilt. No range yet. Looks like only 7 warp gates on 3 bases. Going to be able to get HuK a decent number of units. No upgrades from that Twilight Council either, and still just sitting at the 2-0 upgrades. No intention of getting any others. This is a pretty close game at this point, but Idra needs to... Idra needs to expand twice, and there they are. Excellent. The problem with HuK is that he needs to be able to do something against this increasing base count of Idra, and Idra's just going to go ahead and push. Now, these Corruptors aren't completely useless. They do have the Corruption spell, which makes units a little bit squishier, as I'd put it. It makes them take significantly more damage per shot. I believe it is 20%. Doesn't sound like much, but it is definitely something that you feel. It's always just 1 or 2 fewer shots, and we always think of Starcraft in those terms. How many shots does it take to kill the opposing unit? If that's low, you start hurting a lot. I would like to just state for the record that HuK has yet to research the Thermal Lance upgrade, and those 6 Colossi could have done worlds more damage if they did have the War of the Worlds style upgrade. You see what I did there? So HuK is just poking around here, trying to find any other Overlords that he can snipe off, and Idra is also advancing with a bunch of Corruptors. Sees that there's 1 Colossus here, and really very few Stalkers. Oh god, this poor Colossus getting 3-shotted by this pack of Corruptors that will happily back off and giggle with their little tentacles trailing behind. So Idra just positioning himself on the other side of the Xel'Naga Watchtower. The big danger for HuK at this point is he doesn't have any mass killing unit. He does not have the Colossus or the Storm from the High Templar. Looking around HuK's base, hasn't really continued to transition past this. And oh, the contamination ability of the Overseer just disabling any more Colossus production. Idra knows that he has a key timing window coming up, and that if he can exploit that by contaminating those buildings, preventing any Colossi from popping out, he can get a strong lead. Ultralisks are out now. Big engagement in the center, +3 upgrades coming up right now. Colossus trying to hop over the cliff. Idra trying to get a good surround, but HuK pulling back, avoiding the worst. And it looks like these Ultralisks are getting surrounded hard, but this top flank is really what HuK needs to worry about. The Ultralisks fall super fast, and HuK continuing to warp in more units. Great force fields by HuK, trying to cut all those forces in half for Idra, and it looks like it's going to work for HuK. Looks like some corruption is also down on those Immortals, but HuK is still in the lead after that battle, but oh god, HuK is now the one engaging at a little bit of an awkward angle, has to force all those units forward, and of course that means the Hydralisk will get a few more extra shots in, but HuK has a formidable force in there. These Immortals are going to be great against those Ultralisks. Doesn't look like, yep, no, there is 1 Colossus coming in right now. A lot of Zerglings. Oh, this is a very bad anti-Zergling army. That one Colossus is really the only thing that HuK has to deal with that, and they are going to fall very fast. Just a few Hydralisks. HuK, despite being 50 food behind, is somehow finding a miraculous number of units to push into Idra's base. Oh my god, the creep tumors are starting to fall. All the Ultralisks are vulnerable. Where are Idra's units? He has all these bases. Oh, I take it back. There are the units. The Ultralisks are so slow to move across the map and take so long to build that right when Idra's up against the wall, they arrive just in time. These Ultralisks do extra damage to armored. They do 48 damage with the current set of upgrades. Those Immortals are going to be essential for picking them off, and that is exactly what HuK is making, trying to get more Zealots in there as well to deal with those increasing Zergling numbers. But HuK has yet to destroy these destructible rocks. He needs to get that gold expansion up, or he is going to be in lights-out territory. HuK needs to be running on all cylinders right now, because Idra is just moving huge numbers of Ultraling. Late game, it is so obnoxious to deal with. Doesn't quite have the speed and maneuverability in StarCraft 1, but in terms of raw strength, the Ultralisk has gotten a serious boost from game to game. Look at that, just annihilating all of those Immortals in a few shots. Now, the Immortals do so much damage to those Ultralisks as well. 60 damage per shot. And HuK, good game, too many units. HuK could not quite get enough out in time, which means that HuK, despite playing absolutely brilliantly against the little one and Idra, managing to go 1-2 with both of them. Idra is currently 1-1. HuK is 0-2 in his group. So, wow, that really goes to show that, if you just get one little upgrade, if you just get that one special little extended thermal lance upgrade, it can spell a lot of difference. A lot of people who are new to RTSs tend to ignore the range upgrades. They just focus on the damage, but virtually all interesting interactions in Brood War and in StarCraft 2 revolve around those range upgrades. They let more of your units be attacking at once. They let you get more concaves. They let you micro much more easily, and HuK really could have just swung that pendulum back a little bit more in his opponent's direction just by getting that thermal lance, and it may have been enough to help him close out the series. But either way, Idra is currently 1-1 in his group. HuK is down 0-2, and also in that group we have the little one up 1-0 and Tester at 1-0 as well. So we will be going on to set 2 in just a minute. For any of you who just want a brief breather from the action, such as myself, we will be coming back with game 2 between Whiterot and Demaga. Gigantic thanks once again to Razer for hosting and sponsoring this Razer King of the Beta tournament. I am your commentator, Sean Day9 Plot, and if you want to watch the Final Four, you can watch it from the comfort of your home on July 26th at www.day9.tv. Alternatively, you can fly out to Los Angeles, California to Harvey Mudd College. Starting at 4 p.m., we will have the community countdown extravaganza where we have content contributed from virtually every member of the StarCraft community. For more info, go to day9tv.eventbrite.com, and that event, of course, will wrap up with the Final Four of the Razer King of the Beta tournament, 2,000 for first, 1,000 for second. I am going to take a 1 to 2 minute break to let my poor strained voice calm down from that pretty outrageous action that we just got the chance to see. And remember, kids, passivity plus Ultralisks can be very helpful. See you in just a few.